Well, hello. Welcome to class today. Today we are working with pen and ink. We are doing a still life. So you have a couple of options with today's assignment. You can create your own still life with 3 or more objects, or you can find something, a picture online. I think both of these, nope, this one I think I found just a picture online of a stack of books and a coffee mug, and this one, I might have just made it up. But either way, you can create a still life, which is what I did right here. Let's make sure there's no glare there. Okay, so with this, I took 4 objects actually, and put them together and took a picture. And then I converted it to black and white. So that is what I'm going to use today. But you are welcome to use anything you want. It just needs to be a still life picture. So our objective today is to use different techniques that we've learned to create our drawing. So in class, we will have gone over the different line value techniques. So we're going to practice our hatching, which our lines are going all in one direction and fairly evenly spaced. Cross hatching, which is lines in multiple directions. So you could even do, another set. There could be like 4 ways or something, but at least cross hatching as the lines are intersecting. Scumbling, of course, we just did a fun project last week with scumbling, which is just a controlled scribble. We have stippling, which is very hard to do with ballpoint pen. So you may choose to use it. You may choose to use it in just a little area, but it's really, as you can see, it's really hard to read with ballpoint pen because it just doesn't put a lot of ink down like a Sharpie or a felt tip pen would do. And last but not least, the cross contour. This is where the line wraps around the form and makes it look dimensional. So that one's kind of fun to do. And I think I used quite a few techniques on these pictures. I think everything but the scumbling. I don't think I used scumbling. So let's get into it. I am going to work through my little drawing here. You are also able to, with this project, use colored pens if you'd like. I still want you to use a ballpoint pen, not a Sharpie, not a gel pen, nothing like that. I want you to use this because you can get the values much better. But you can use color if you want. If you just want to add, like I could have added some orange and red to my flame, just to add a little pop of color. I could have made brown coffee. I could have, maybe I just wanted to highlight the Bible and I could have just colored in the Holy Bible. So your choice. You could do the whole thing in color if you want, but just make sure the whole point of this project is to get dimension and depth. I want this to look a little more 3-dimensional than some of our other projects. So you can see the shadows of the books, you can see where they stack and where they meet, you can see where the cup kind of sits on the book. I want to see all those shadows, I want to see dimension and depth. Okay. And I want to see a broad range of values. I want to see lights and I want to see darks. I want to see everything in between. I don't want it to be one or the other. I want a full range of values in this project. All right, also, you do have the option to use encyclopedia paper. I will have some in class if you want, then you can just maybe tape it into your book when you're done. You're welcome to use that. It's kind of fun. It's kind of something different. Hides the flaws a little bit more, but it's also kind of harder to read and harder to see what you're doing. So totally up to you, but I will have those available as well. So the first thing we're going to do is draw our still life in pencil. lightly in pencil so we can erase. So, I don't know if you want to see my still life, but you might get a nasty glare. Yep, that ain't gonna work for you. Alright, so you're just gonna watch me draw. Okay, so first of all, I have my book on the table, so I'm gonna quickly sketch that in. I want to make sure it takes up the whole page, so I want to do a rough draft of where everything is going to sit. Alright, so that's the back of my book. So I have a vase sitting on the back here. It has some sprigs. Okay, I'll fix those in a minute and get that sketched in. You'll have to, at the end, you'll have to wait to erase your pencil lines because the pen stays wet for a little while. So I made a challenge for myself here with this little footed clock. I feel like it's something out of Beauty and the Beast. If my pencil's too dark, I should have grabbed a lighter pencil. Well, it's not perfect, but it's going to be alright. Alright, now I have kind of an eye shape. I got that wrong. There we go. Alright, I don't know that I'm going to do the clock very well, but I'll just do that. Alright, there. I might have bit off more than I could chew. And let's see. I have my mushroom here, so you could also just choose simpler products, simpler items. All right. And then I am definitely going to simplify these up here. And they are just going to be grasses. Okay. All right, so you can see in my picture, I switched it to black and white. I could read those shadows if I left it in color, but it's a whole heck of a lot easier to read it in black and white. So, totally up to you. If you want to read it in color, you go right ahead. Hold on. All right, I'm back. Okay, so we're going to keep finishing here. I'm going to do what I always do and kind of lighten with my eraser. So I can get the majority of the graphite off. I did go in and pencil in some of my shadows and highlights. That'll make it easier for me to read and not go over. Alrighty, this is where the fun begins. Okay, I'm gonna grab my pen. I'm gonna start outlining and filling in. So with pen and ink, it's kind of fun because it's a little bit looser than, say, the realism of maybe graphite. I think you can do realistic with pen, but I really like the kind of a little bit more, that's good grammar, a little more messy of a look. So I'm just going to start going over some of my lines here. Get my book pages in here. Okay, sometimes the pens get a little gloppy and you have to wipe them off. Some of these, all right. So I got my book in. I don't know if I made that the right angle. It isn't perfect, I know that, but that's all right. All right, we're just gonna start. I tend to do a lot more like double lines with pen. I go over my lines a couple times, so they're not always perfect, but it's good for a quick little sketch here. Okay, notice I left that part out where this little knob has to come in. All right, clock is almost up. I forgot this part. Clock's almost done. All right, I'm not gonna worry about the face yet. I will decide what I'm gonna do later. Okay, there's my mushroom. Just gonna get it all outlined first. Okay. All right, so there is my basic drawing. All my elements are in there. Now I can just start going through and creating the depth and dimension. I like to start with the darker. It just works better for me. There's a heavy shadow right under this clock that I'm going to start scumbling in. And make sure you use 3 different techniques. I will make sure to count. I like to get those darks in because it really just changes the picture right away. And it adds a lot. So remember, this is a controlled scribble. And this is probably the blackest, darkest area of my whole picture. And so if I get that established right away, then I know where the limit of my value scale is. Paper can only take so much ink, it can only take so much color. This is mixed media paper, so it probably isn't going to hold it quite as well as maybe sketch paper or Bristol paper would, but I think we'll get a good range. Yeah, I think that's a good start. my light is kind of coming from two ways, so it's a little mostly coming from this though. The heaviest light seems to be coming from this way. All right, so I've got that. I've got to get a nice dark area under here. Now I could add in details. I could add the flowers or whatever I want to this clock, but I don't know. I don't know that I will. I might just do some cross hatching for the face, for the whole front of it. I don't know if you can kind of see that. I'll bring this. Got some lighter shadows here, and I've got some really heavy ones here. So just read your shadows, use your ink to communicate the depth of your still life. This one will take a little while. It's not going to be quite as easy as the scribble animal, but it won't take as long as the stippling. So, all right, so I'm just going to stop there because I want to get to another little technique. Before maybe I put this on double time and finish it. Okay, so I want to do some contouring. So my vase has a lot of dark areas. So this is one dark area. And it's got a band of really light reflection there, kind of a mid-tone. Same on that side. So my contour is going to start here, where my darkest area is. So I am mimicking the shape of the vase. So I'm following that top lip, and I am curving my lines to wrap around the vase. I've got darker area over here too, so then I can just go the opposite way. And then it creates kind of a lighter band down the middle, but it gets that darkness more towards the edges where it is. Notice my lines are going all the same way. Takes time, takes practice. So make sure you are, now my shadow comes down across the vase. So I'm going to follow that line. Okay, you can see how that's coming along. And then since this is lighter, I may just kind of do straight hatches this way. It's a very, like I said, it's kind of a mid-tone. This one's even lighter. And again, that's the nice thing about pen. I probably shouldn't have drawn that outer edge quite so dark. So I got that nice mid-tone. Now right about here, oh no, it might stay going the same. Because like on the branch, I switched direction. I started my contour going this way, and at the middle where it would be right in front of me, and then I switch the contour going the other way. You see the difference there? So it makes like the contours are going away from me. It just makes it more believable. Anyway. Definitely not going for hyper realism, but definitely going for realistic. Like it looks like it's sitting in there. It can be a little cartoonish, but it needs the dimension. It needs the depth. And it's going to start to fade on this edge. It's going to fade into it. So I'm going to keep it dark on this side and kind of flick it out. Trying to keep the same contour. If you kind of flick it, you can drag the end and you can kind of see where it's changing that color. All right. Now when you get like next to another object, just be careful not to go into that object. And we follow the shape of the vase the whole way around. Now, if I were to try and erase that pencil line, I might smear some of my ink. So I am going to wait a little bit. Okay, so probably could get this a little darker. Oops, see, I got a glob there, darn it. I'm just going to try and darken this on that edge a little bit more. I could even cross hatch and just right at this area if I wanted to add a little more depth. I think this is an old pen. It keeps getting gloppy. So I could add some cross lines there just to kind of create a darker look. Okay, so on this side we have our highlight here, so we're not going to go into there, but we do need to get up to that point. So I'm going to kind of continue these contour hatches, make sure I get them right, over into that space. So I get my full range of values. there is kind of a harsh line where it's under the lip. So I'm going to leave that in there. This is all very light. So I'm barely touching my pen. Okay, so I've established my value range. It's going to be heavier down here. And there is a shadow, so there is a shadow right under there. So I'm going to scumble all of this. Get it as dark as I can. And that shadow anchors it to the surface that it's sitting on. And let's see. Erase that pencil line. Seems that this has kind of set up pretty well, so it might not smear as much as I thought it might. Sorry if the camera's shaking. Yeah, I've got pencil all over my hand. Okay. There we go. All right, so we're just gonna keep plugging away, and trying to decide if I'm gonna put you on high speed or if you really just want to watch this whole process. I don't have a lot to add. All right. Let's see. Let's do some contour. Let's see, how am I going to do this? We're going to change our contour direction here. All right, and then this side is definitely more shadowed, which is strange, seeing as this side is shadowed. But hey, I'm just reading the picture, so. Go through, and after you finish, then you saw it make that line a little cleaner. That's why I like pen. All right, and then this is all, I'm going to scumble this, I think. So when you get it really dark right up where it meets, you add so much dimension. Okay, so get those dark colors in there, don't be afraid. And this one, let's have some really big ribs. Getting again right up under those oh, why can't I think of what those are? The little thingy things. You know what I'm talking about. Get right up under there. All right, now this. Just gonna do a little hatching. So that is the lightest areas. This one's going to be a little darker, but I'm going to use the same technique for it. looks a little darker over here, so a little bit closer. You have a lot of control over this. This shouldn't take as long as the stippling, though. Shadow there, and then this has a bright spot, so I am going to kind of just do like that. That's what I'm gonna do. I don't really know what I'm going to do here. I'm going to scumble a little bit to add some value. Just read your picture. Read your picture the best you can. I know you guys have been learning how to do it, so I know you know how to do it. Let's see, there is a shadow this way. Right, and then I'm going to do the book. I'll do the book pages. I'm going to do book pages, and I think it'll be... You're basically just doing what's it called? Hatching. Just hatching. No crossing, just hatching. But let me get this here. I have to come back and do a little bit more. All right, so for the pages, I'm just gonna put in, obviously not every page, but just the idea of pages. And then I've got some shadowing here. So make it right up under that cover. And then there's just some light. The hatching, it's important to move in the same direction. Like if you were to accidentally go across the page the wrong way, you're definitely going to see it. So do your best. Nice dark shadow under here. Right where my gloppy pen. This is where it's sitting on the table. What else am I going to add? I need to add some cross hatching, a little bit more in there. Maybe the top of the book. So okay, so I went kind of there and I kind of straightened it out. So we're going to be straight back here. And then we're going to kind of start to angle it to this. Don't get sloppy. Okay, I just started to get sloppy. Alright, I have not done any stippling because stippling with pen is really hard, but I could if I really wanted to. Could maybe do some light stippling. Ballpoint pen is not very productive when it comes to stippling, but there are definitely better choices of medium. But I'm not doing much, so it'll add a little bit of texture. I'm going to do it here too. Remember, straight up and down, no tails, no dashes. Let's see. This has to be scumbled. This is a little darker than this one, so I'm going a little bit darker. Definitely more pressure. That'll give me a, oh, careful not to go off the edge. think I'm gonna add my table. I'm gonna add some like further apart, kind of wood grainy kind of look. And there we go. That is your assignment for this week. I hope you have fun with it. Again, you can find a reference photo if you want. You can set up your own still life and take a picture like I did. You can draw. Yes, obviously I think it's best to have a picture then you can easily read the shadows. If you're making it up out of your head, it tends to be less believable because you don't necessarily put the shadows in the right spots. 3 objects, 3 or more objects. You can use colored pen if you want, otherwise just black. Ballpoint pen only. What are the other rules? At least 3 different line techniques. So you can use any of these 5: hatching, cross hatching, scumbling, stippling, or cross contour. You need at least 3 in your drawing. And what else? I hope you have fun. I want to see dimension. I want to see values, a whole range of value from the lightest all the way to the darkest. Get all those values in there and everything in between. And that's it. I hope you guys have a great time with this, and I can't wait to see what you turn in. Have a great week.